Today I'll be talking about Tuesdays with Morrie, and the two topics that I chose are regret and death. So the first quote that I chose is for regret, and it says, "The culture doesn't encourage you to think about such things until you're about to die. We're so wrapped up in the egotistical things, career, family, having enough money, meeting the mortgage, getting a new car, fixing the radiator when it breaks. We're involved in trillions of little acts just to keep going, so we don't get into the habit of standing back and looking at our lives and saying, is this all? Is this all I want? Is something missing?" So in this quote, I think that Morrie is trying to express how as individuals we tend to be so wrapped up in the materialistic things, and how we're always so focused on whether what we have is enough or if we need more to be complete or content. I think that his opinion, this thought, and this quote is really valid. I feel like personally, I do think that there are times where as individuals we do stand at a point in our lives where we look back and we are sometimes regretful of maybe not have done our best, maybe not have done much. For example, in my academic life, I feel like my freshman year I didn't do as good in high school. So now that I'm a freshman in college, I look back sometimes and I feel that I could have done more. And even though this isn't really in the materialistic way, it is more in the career path and pursuing my goals. So I do think that it does fall along the idea that Morrie is trying to give here. So moving on to the topic of death, I chose to talk about the section where Mitch is telling Morrie, do you keep up with the news? And Morrie is like, do you think that because I'm dying I don't keep up with the news? And so then Morrie says, maybe you're right, maybe I shouldn't care. After all, I won't be around to see how it all turns out. But it's hard enough to explain, Mitch. Now that I'm suffering, I feel closer to people who suffer than I ever did before. The other night on TV, I saw people in Bosnia running across the street, getting fired upon, killed, innocent victims, and I just started to cry. I feel their anguish as if it were my own. I don't know any of these people, but how can I put this? I'm almost drawn to them. His eyes got moist, and I tried to change the subject, but he dabbed his face and waved me off. I cry all the time now, he said. Never mind. So I think this quote was really strong. I think that Morrie is trying to demonstrate how now that he is hurting in a way, now that he's in a vulnerable position, when he sees these people that are suffering, I think that he's trying to express how individuals can't really feel for those that are suffering until you yourself are suffering. I don't know if that makes sense, but when someone is, for example, when someone is sick, with like a simple cough or a fever or something else, I think that it's easier to kind of put yourself in a position where you can kind of imagine having a much greater health condition or health issue. I think that when we are healthy and that when we are free of all these infections and diseases and whatnot, I think that we take it for granted and we don't really appreciate the health conditions that we are in. I know that sometimes when I get sick or when I am like terribly sick, I remember that during quarantine, it wasn't easy, but I would say that when I would see other people that were infected with COVID, I was like, oh, I didn't think of it as much. But then when I got sick of COVID, I felt more for the people that were sick because I was living it. I was living what they were living. So it was easier for me to kind of connect with them in a way. And I think that's what Morrie is trying to express here. So yeah, I think that's all my thoughts. And